Picture this. It's a cold December morning in 2010. A routine search along Ocean Parkway on Long Island, New York. Officers are out there looking for a missing woman, a 24-year-old named Shannon Gilbert, who had vanished months earlier after making a frantic 911 call screaming, "They're going to kill me." They never found Shannon that day. But what they found instead was so much worse. Within a stretch of just half a mile of remote beachside brush, they found 4 sets of human remains. 4 women, all wrapped in burlap, all bound, all discarded like they were nothing. And over the following year, they found more, and more, and more. 11 sets of remains in total, scattered across that stretch of Long Island coast. The nation was horrified. Who was doing this? How long had this been going on? And why, after all this time, did nobody seem to know anything? Here is what nobody was talking about at the time. While investigators were desperately combing the beach for clues, the man responsible for all of it was driving past those crime scene tents every single day on his morning commute. His name was Rex Heuermann. He was an architect, a father, a husband, a man who coached Little League, paid his taxes, and shook hands with his neighbors at the grocery store. And for 17 years, he was a serial killer hiding in plain sight. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how one man fooled an entire city, an entire police force, and an entire family for nearly 2 decades. And you're going to understand the one mistake, one tiny, almost laughable mistake, that finally brought him down. Let's go back to the beginning. Rex Andrew Heuermann was born on September 13, 1963, in Massapequa Park, New York, a quiet suburb on the south shore of Long Island. The kind of place where kids ride bikes until the streetlights come on and everyone knows their neighbor's name. By all accounts, Rex was a strange child. Childhood acquaintances described him as a mama's boy, intensely attached to his mother, who herself was known to be controlling and overbearing. His father, a World War II veteran, died when Rex was just 12 years old. Now I want you to hold that detail. The absent father, the controlling mother. We'll come back to that, because what investigators later found inside Rex Heuermann's home will make that childhood detail feel like a very dark piece of a very dark puzzle. Rex grew up, went to school, and built a career. He became an architect, and a successful one. He founded his own firm in Manhattan, RH Consultants and Associates. He had a wife, a daughter, a stepson. He lived in a large house in Massapequa Park, just 15 miles from Gilgo Beach. From the outside, Rex Heuermann was the picture of the American dream. But behind closed doors, on his computers, in his basement, in his search history, investigators would later discover a man who was obsessively living a second life. A life so dark, so calculated, so meticulously planned, that even veteran FBI profilers said they had rarely seen anything like it. We'll get to what they found in that house. But first, let's talk about the women he killed, because their stories matter. And for far too long, they were forgotten. Sandra Costilla was 28 years old. She was from Trinidad and Tobago. She had a life. She had people who loved her. On November 19th or 20th, 1993, she was killed. Her remains were found in the Hamptons, more than 60 miles from Gilgo Beach. For 31 years, her murder went unsolved. Karen Vergata disappeared in 1996. Her remains were found twice. First on Fire Island in 1996, then again near Gilgo Beach in 2011. For nearly 3 decades, nobody knew who she was. Nobody knew who had taken her. Valerie Mack. She went missing around the year 2000. Her remains were found in 2 separate locations, split between Manorville and Gilgo Beach. She wasn't even identified until the year 2020, 20 years after she was killed. 20 years. Valerie Mack's family spent 20 years not knowing what happened to her, not knowing where she was, not knowing if she was even alive. Jessica Taylor was 20 years old. She was living in Manhattan when she disappeared in 2003. Her remains were found 45 miles east of Gilgo Beach in Manorville. Her mother, Elizabeth, sat in that courtroom in April 2026 and wept as Rex Heuermann described how he killed her daughter. Maureen Brainerd Barnes was 25 years old. She was a mother of 2. She had been trying to get out of sex work. She had been out of the industry for 7 months. But when an eviction notice arrived, she had no choice but to go back. She was last seen on July 9, 2007, telling friends she was heading into New York City for the day. She was never seen again. Her body was found in December 2010. Melissa Bartholomew was 24. She had called her sister multiple times after she disappeared. But it wasn't Melissa calling. It was her killer. Rex Heuermann called Melissa's teenage sister from Melissa's phone, taunting her. He called a teenage girl from the phone of the woman he had just murdered to taunt her. Let that sink in. Megan Waterman was 22 years old. Her daughter, Liliana, was just a baby when Megan disappeared in 2010. In 2026, Liliana, now a teenager, stood before the cameras and said, "If I could speak to Rex face to face, I would tell him that he has no heart, no soul. He is a monster." And finally, Amber Lynn Costello. Amber disappeared in September 2010. Her roommate remembered the man who picked her up that night. A big man, driving a distinctive truck, a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche. That roommate's description of that truck, that single detail, a witness remembering a truck from over a decade earlier, is what cracked the entire case wide open. We'll get to that. But first, I need to tell you about the night this all began. The night a woman named Shannon Gilbert ran screaming into the darkness. It was May 2010. Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old sex worker, was visiting a client near Oak Beach, a quiet, gated community on the edge of Long Island. Something happened inside that house. We don't know exactly what, but at approximately 4:51 in the morning, Shannon called 911. She was screaming, "There's somebody after me. They're gonna kill me." The call lasted 23 minutes. Neighbors watched as she ran from house to house in the dark, banging on doors, begging for help. And then she vanished into the marshland. Police went to look for Shannon Gilbert, and instead, they found the 4 women wrapped in burlap, the Gilgo 4. Melissa Bartholomew, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, all within half a mile of each other, all discarded by the same man. Here is something that will make your skin crawl. Rex Heuermann later admitted that he was familiar with that area. He knew those marshes. He knew those roads. He had been using them as a dumping ground for years. And while police were setting up their crime scene tents and talking to reporters on the evening news, Rex Heuermann was at home in Massapequa Park, 15 miles away, having dinner with his family. And here's the detail that nobody talks about enough. Rex Heuermann followed this case obsessively. He kept newspaper clippings about the Gilgo Beach murders. He had a dedicated folder of magazine articles about the investigation. He searched the case online repeatedly. He wanted to know exactly how close investigators were getting. For 12 years after those bodies were found on the beach, he watched, he waited. He thought he had gotten away with it. He was wrong. For years, the Gilgo Beach case went cold. Investigators had evidence, but not enough. They had theories, but no strong suspect. And as the years passed, public frustration grew. How could 11 bodies be found in one area and nobody get arrested? Then in February 2022, something changed. A new Suffolk County Police Commissioner named Rodney Harrison made a decision. He formed a dedicated multi-agency task force, pulled in the FBI, the New York State Police, and local investigators, and told them one thing: solve this.
Do a walkthrough and a survey of the site of where some of our unfortunate bodies were found that are part of the serial killer Gilgo Beach murders. Now, this is one of the things as an investigator in NYPD that we've always done. Take a look at the incidents, take a look at the location, at the crime scene, to kind of get a better idea of exactly what may need to be done within the investigation. I also had an opportunity to speak with the Suffolk County homicide investigators that are leading the investigation. A lot of great work was done. I like to bring a fresh set of eyes from my experiences being an investigator in the NYPD, just to make sure that all of the investigative leads are being done appropriately. Just of what I've seen so far, there's some great leads that are putting us in a great place to solve this case. And we make a commitment to the residents of Suffolk County as well as the family members. We will not rest until we bring those accountable to justice.
The task force went back to square one. They reviewed every piece of evidence collected over 12 years. Every witness statement, every photograph, every phone record. And then, just 2 months later, they got a break. A vehicle database. Amber Costello's roommate had described the man who picked her up before she disappeared. A big man, first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche. Detectives ran that description through vehicle registration databases. And one name kept rising to the top: Rex Heuermann, an architect from Massapequa Park. 15 miles from Gilgo Beach. Now, here's where it gets extraordinary. The task force made a decision that would prove to be genius. They decided not to arrest him, not yet. They began quietly surveilling him, following him, watching him, building a case, all without him ever knowing. We wanted the one person who mattered, the murderer, to think it was business as usual, said Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney. They pulled his cell phone data. They found that his phone had pinged towers near the locations where victims disappeared on the nights they went missing. They found that he had used burner phones to contact his victims. And then, he discarded those burner phones after each killing. But they needed something more. They needed DNA. And getting that DNA required patience. The kind of patience most people don't have. So investigators did something almost poetic in its simplicity. They followed Rex Heuermann to work every day. They watched him eat lunch. They watched him buy coffee. They watched him throw out his garbage. And one afternoon, outside his Manhattan office on a busy Midtown sidewalk, Rex Heuermann threw out a box of half-eaten pizza crusts. Investigators rushed to the garbage, and the moment he walked away, they grabbed the box. They sent it to the crime lab. The DNA from that pizza crust matched a hair found on the burlap used to wrap one of his victims. A pizza crust. That's what ended his 17-year run. A pizza crust in a Manhattan garbage can. On the evening of July 13, 2023, as Rex Heuermann walked out of his Manhattan office into the evening rush hour crowd, he was surrounded by law enforcement agents in dark suits, right there on the sidewalk, in front of everyone. Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison stood before the cameras that night and said, Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks amongst us, a predator that ruined families. Rex Heuermann was arrested. And the next morning, standing in a courtroom, he was reportedly in tears. His lawyer delivered his message to the media. The only thing I can tell you that he said as he was in tears was, "I didn't do it." Was lying. After his arrest, investigators descended on Rex Heuermann's home in Massapequa Park. They searched it for days, and what they found inside was the portrait of a man who had been planning and perfecting murder for decades. On his devices, investigators found an extensive collection of torture pornography. They found thousands of images and videos that detailed the kind of violence he fantasized about. They found newspaper clippings and magazine articles about the Gilgo Beach killings, carefully saved and organized. Rex had been watching the investigation unfold from the inside, tracking what police knew, tracking what they didn't know. And then investigators found something that made even hardened prosecutors go silent. A document on his computer, a planning document, a blueprint for murder. It included checklists, how to limit noise, how to clean a body, how to destroy DNA evidence, what supplies to bring, how to dispose of remains without being caught. This was not the act of someone who snapped in a moment of rage. This was a man who sat down at his desk, the same desk where he designed buildings and filed his taxes and wrote a manual for how to kill human beings. And his family, his wife, Asa Ellerup, and their daughter lived in that house. Investigators confirmed that Asa was out of town on the nights of every single killing. She filed for divorce days after his arrest. But the question that haunted the case, and still haunts it today, is this: how do you share a bed with a monster and never know? That question has no easy answer. Exactly 1,000 days after his arrest, on April 8, 2026, Rex Heuermann stood in Suffolk County Court in Riverhead, calm and emotionless, a stark contrast to his tears at arraignment. He pleaded guilty to 7 counts of murder, 3 first-degree and 4 second-degree. He also admitted killing an 8th woman, Karen Vergata, for which he was not formally charged. One by one, he described strangling the women and disposing of their remains. Victims' families filled the courtroom. Some wept. Heuermann waived his right to trial and appeal. In exchange, he agreed to cooperate with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit to help understand serial offenders. Sentencing is scheduled for June 17, 2026. He faces 3 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus additional lengthy terms, ensuring he will never be free. For families like Jessica Taylor's mother and Megan Waterman's now teenage daughter Liliana, who called him a man with no heart, no soul, this brought painful closure, even without a full trial. But not every question is answered. Rex Heuermann admitted to 8 murders. Yet 11 sets of remains were found in the Gilgo area. Who is responsible for the others? And what really happened to Shannon Gilbert, whose desperate 911 call triggered the entire discovery? Her death is still officially undetermined. It remains the great unsolved mystery of this case. Sandra Costilla, Karen Vergata, Valerie Mack, Jessica Taylor, Maureen Brainard Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, 8 women. 8 families who waited years, sometimes decades, for their loved ones' names to be spoken in a courtroom. Remember their names. If this story stayed with you, like and subscribe for more in-depth true crime documentaries. Comment below. What do you think happened to Shannon Gilbert?